I had gotten married young, younger than most. Our parents were a little disappointed, but understood. All they said was, "Just don't keep us in the dark when it comes to babies." We laughed and said there was no chance of that. We moved in together and started working on starting a family. 5 months later, after a lot of trying and no signs of being pregnant, we started to worry. We went to a doctor who wanted to test Jason's sperm and run some tests on me too. The results told us that Jason's sperm count was so low, it was likely that if we were to get pregnant, it would take a long time. We could try adopting, but being so young, our chances weren't the best. We decided instead to go for IVF treatments. 3 months of treatment later, while tracking my periods closely, I noticed I was late. We went in to see our doctor, who was very excited too. She did a test and confirmed that I was approximately 4 weeks pregnant. Our next big surprise came when we went for our ultrasound to find out the sex, and were told there were twins in there, twin girls. When I was asked if I wanted to have another ultrasound closer to the due date, I said no, as I didn't see much point. I tell you, looking back, I wish I had gone for that extra ultrasound closer to the date. Right around the time I was pushing and grunting in the delivery room, and the doctor yelled, "Help!" I thought, yeah, more ultrasounds might have been good. Jason and I had tried so hard and gone through so much to get pregnant. We kind of figured that once we got there, we had little else to worry about. We were so grateful that IVF had worked and given us twin girls, and we were equally grateful to our parents. If it wasn't for them helping out with the treatment costs, we wouldn't have even been able to contemplate IVF. We were warned by the specialist that we would likely end up with multiples. IVF treatment produced those results often. Twins weren't in the family, but we felt we were ready to handle 2, with the help of our friends and family. When the doctor was examining me during labor and suddenly called for help, we knew something else was up. The doctor was whispering to some nurses, and they all kept glancing over at us. The doctor came up to us and said, "We have some big news, but we need to do an ultrasound first to make sure we really know what we're dealing with." Of course, we agreed, not knowing what to expect. It was hard to stay still and calm while in labor, but I did my best. The machine was brought over to me and the cold gel squirted on my belly. The doctor moved the wand around and turned the monitor to face us so we could see everything. "Holy moly," she said. She turned off the monitor, wiped off my belly, took off her gloves, and said, "Prepare yourselves because you're about to be parents of 8 babies. You are pregnant with octuplets." She explained that when she was palpitating my belly, she thought she felt more than 2 babies. She said her hospital had never birthed octuplets and how excited everyone was. I started crying. I felt embarrassed, but this was all too much. Here I was in labor, hormones raging, about to become a new mom, and finding out that instead of 2, I was having 8. My mind was whirling. Jason was sitting there open-mouthed in shock with little to say. I knew what I wanted him to say. "It will be all right, honey, we'll figure everything out." Even in that situation, I was still the practical one. I pulled myself together between contractions and told Jason he needed to circle the wagons and get us some help. He left to call our parents and tell them the news. As I thought, they completely took over. They rushed out and bought 6 more cribs, a truckload of diapers, and everything else we needed. "How are we even going to get them home from the hospital?" I asked. I was starting to panic a little at the logistics of it all. After talking to our parents, Jason seemed to finally click that he had to be the strong one for now. He soothed me, held my hand during contractions, and said that everything necessary was already being done. I labored for over 24 hours to bring those 8 babies into the world. And I'll tell you one thing, it was not easy. Each baby that came out was perfect. In total, we had 5 girls and 3 boys. We hit the books to come up with some baby names and were instantly overwhelmed. They were all crying and wanting us. I asked the nurse how I could ever breastfeed, and she said, "It'll be hard for you, but it has been done." She showed me how to nurse 2 at a time, and we set up a rotation schedule to ensure that every baby had their turn. I realized pretty quickly that I would have to majorly supplement with formula. There was no way my milk supply could keep up with this sort of demand. We stayed in the hospital for over a week. All the babies were examined and given a clean bill of health. I had some tearing but was healing nicely and wanted to go home. When we opened the door to our tiny house, we were greeted by a living room so full of diapers, clothes, and accessories that we couldn't even find a place to sit, let alone set down the 8 car seats full of precious cargo. I needed sleep, so crawled into our bed while Jason attempted to get started organizing everything. Our parents had been great. The 2 bedrooms were fully outfitted with 4 cribs in each, changing tables, mobiles, and everything else we would need. Life was insane. We could only sleep in small chunks, and that was Jason and I taking shifts. After 2 weeks, we both looked like zombies. I had given up breastfeeding as it was just too much. We had to have colored anklets on each baby to make sure we didn't get any mixed up. It was the best idea ever. When you're delirious from lack of sleep, food, everything, the mind gets pretty cloudy and confused. We had to buy a huge van so we could transport everyone safely. And that thing really sucked up the gas. We were going broke fast. As much as people were helping, the cost of raising 8 babies was insane. Formula was expensive, as were diapers. A local paper had done a story on us, and to our surprise, readers had started a FundMe page on Facebook to help out. We couldn't believe how generous people were being. Not only were the donations rolling into the page, people from around the country were sending us checks in the mail, cards, and gift cards for a variety of stores and services. Were it not for the generosity of our families, the community, and strangers, I don't know what we would have done. I joined a mom's group for new moms of multiples, and I was the only octuplet mom in the bunch. The other moms looked at me with wonder at how I was managing. I told them it was simple how I was managing. I'm happy. Was I tired? Yes. Was I overwhelmed? Yes. I was a lot of things, but the one overriding emotion I felt was happiness, and that's what got me through. Jason had taken his full paternity leave to help out, but as his return to work date approached, I wondered how I would manage on my own. Our parents had arranged taking turns for the first few weeks, so at least I could find time to grab a nap or a shower from time to time. I was raising my own army, and it was hard work. You might be wondering how Jason was adjusting to life as a new dad of 8 babies. I'll tell you, he had his moments and meltdowns, but his overall attitude just proved to me that he was the only one for me. At the worst times, when we were both covered in baby puke, pee, and poop, was when he took it upon himself to make me laugh. He would joke about how sexy we both looked, and he would pretend to hit on me. The days were long, but the years were short. We did our best raising our 8 kids, and were happy to do it. My group had a lot of women whose marriages had ended after having multiples. It was hard on a relationship, that's for sure. Even the average new parents of 1 baby talk about how hard it is to find time for one another, let alone having 2, 3, 4, or 8 babies, infants, toddlers to care for. After our 8 had reached their 2nd birthday, we were so excited to be moving out of the toddler phase and into the little kid phase. One thing that I was learning was that every phase was easier in one way, but harder in another. We had our routines down, but that was hard because if one thing happened to throw that routine off track, it was chaos. One little unexpected moment or event, and I felt the anxiety rise. The domino effect of things getting off schedule was the hardest part for me. That schedule was for my sanity. I had to explain to Jason a few times why I got so cranky if someone was put to bed late, or if someone popped by unannounced and we had to push bedtime back. Shortly after their second birthday, the local paper that had done that initial story on us phoned, asking if they could do a follow-up. We were so grateful for all the help that we had gotten and how that interview had spread our story, we didn't even hesitate. The reporter came to our house one afternoon and asked us what life was like with 8 kids. He asked us how we could afford it, how we could find time for each other, and what advice, if any, we could pass on to other new parents of octuplets. I thought for a good long moment and said this: becoming a parent for the first time is going to be scary with 1, 2, 3, 8 babies. That doesn't really change. The logistics of raising 8 babies is what you need to be prepared for. Get every single thing in place well before the birth, because you will need to be as in control as you can possibly be. When the reporter asked if we would change anything or if we regretted going through IVF, Jason and I looked at each other and said, "Not one bit." To watch more animated story videos like this, hit that subscribe button. And tell us in the comments section what you thought about this story.